Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. Miles Deutscher here on Twitter posting this, okay? Bitcoin just hit an all-time high in Argentina, Turkey, and Nigeria. Now guys, this tweet was from a few days ago, but I waited to save this tweet for today. And the reason is because I noticed this and I looked at these countries specifically, Argentina, Turkey, and Nigeria. And all these countries have one thing in common. Why is Bitcoin hitting all-time highs in these countries? Take a look at this, 12.1 million Argentinian pesos to buy one Bitcoin. And you guys can see the chart here. You guys can see 2023 skyrocketed to all-time highs. The peak of the market was obviously 2021 and 2022. And, we haven't seen Bitcoin reach these tops in the American market. Same thing, guys, is happening in Turkey. We have 2021 over here. This would have been near the beginning of 2021 when Bitcoin hit that first peak. And then later in 2021, we actually saw Bitcoin hit a higher peak. So, looking at these countries in this particular case, we're looking at the Turkish lira, 979,000 Turkish lira per one Bitcoin. And you're wondering to yourself, maybe you're thinking, well, what is one Turkish lira worth compared to one US dollar? Take a look at this, guys, Nigeria. Same thing has happened. 28.4 million Nigerian. What is the fiat currency in Nigeria? Right, it's the Nigerian naira. So, guys, this is what we're seeing here, and it's an interesting study in currencies vis-a-vis Bitcoin. Now, take a look at this chart. Same thing is happening here. 2021, early in 2021, we saw that first peak for Bitcoin. Then later in 2021, we saw that second peak for Bitcoin. The market went down, but guys, take a look now. The trend is now higher. Bitcoin price has gone higher than we saw it in 2021. So what gives? Bitcoin price, when I look at the Bitcoin to USD chart, Bitcoin price, for all intents and purposes, has not surpassed all-time high peaks that we saw back in 2021. When we take a look at Bitcoin compared to the US dollar and, even compared to other currencies, like let's just take a look at the Bitcoin to Euro chart, for example. Bitcoin to Euro, we're still seeing the same kind of thing, right? It's not surpassing these highs that we saw back in 2021. Let's compare Bitcoin to, Japanese yen, JPY. And taking a look at that, you guys can see Bitcoin has not surpassed the all-time highs that we saw back in 2021. Let's take a look at one more here. Bitcoin to the Canadian dollar. Just taking a fiat currency at random here. And similar kind of situation here, guys. Bitcoin to the high prices that we saw back in 2021. You guys can see Bitcoin is still down in and around here. So what the heck is going on? Why is it in Argentina these people are paying premiums for Bitcoin similar to in Turkey and in Nigeria? This next clip, guys, I posted in a video from last week. This is Anthony Pompliano talking about the current Bitcoin situation. And by the way, may I add, CNBC did post a 12-minute segment on Bitcoin last week. Here's just a clip from that, guys. Anthony Pompliano, listen to this.
Bitcoin's price from that $3,000 bottom to $69,000, 23x in about 3 years, is that there was a supply and a demand shock. And we had printing of money, low interest rates, and we also got the halving. We look like we're headed right back to that. Right now, we do have high interest rates, and they're trying not to print money. But we have a $33.5 trillion debt. They're trying to fund 2 proxy wars. We have the southern border issue. We've got all sorts of inflation they're still trying to combat. And so what's likely to happen here is that they're going to have to return to loose monetary policy. When they do that, it is likely to coincide with the Bitcoin halving.
Did you hear what Anthony Pompliano says here? Okay, loose monetary policy, funding 2 proxy wars, essentially printing more money, guys. You know what this is going to result in? I think we get it here. Money printer goes brrrr. All very telling, and exactly the reason why we are seeing Bitcoin in other countries go to new all-time highs. Now, if you guys are still confused, let me explain further. Inflation. This is how prices can get higher. So really, it's not that the price of Bitcoin is going higher. It's just the fact that your fiat currency, whether it's American dollars or Canadian dollars, euros, whatever it is losing steam because of what governments around the world are doing. Why is inflation so high? An economist explains why everyday essentials cost more. So this was just an article from this summer, taking a look at inflation in the United States. As prices continue to increase across a broad range of spending categories, many Americans are finding that their paychecks aren't going as far as they used to. It's probably because in June, the year-over-year inflation rate as measured by the Consumer Price Index was a whopping 9.1%. Now, we look at 9.1% in the United States and we think to ourselves, okay, that's quite a bit considering inflation is generally 1 to 2% year over year. So what's given rise to higher prices at the gas pumps or at your local grocery store? Well, there are a variety of different causes, from international conflicts to changes of what consumers purchase. So they give you some reasons why we are seeing this inflation. First off, let's establish some basics about inflation, which is the increase of the price of goods and services over a period of time. In order to measure inflation, economists use a price index to look at price changes across a number of different goods and services. So that is generally what we do, guys. And if you take a look at how inflation has increased over the years, most Western countries have experienced a slow, steady growth in inflation. Canada's the same way, the United States, much of Western Europe, where we haven't actually seen inflation really kind of decimate our fiat currencies. So, this is why we are generally able to see that steady increase for Bitcoin. Let me bring it back on the USD chart, Bitcoin to USD, that steady increase for Bitcoin, the decline in the bear market, that trading sideways, and why these 4-year cycles generally look the same. It's because our fiat currencies have remained relatively stable over time. Now, here is a new theory behind higher crypto prices, and I remember talking about this years ago. I think it was in 2019 when we were discussing the concept of XRP going to $10,000. Galgatron, I don't know how many of you guys remember Galgatron, but he's a member of the XRP community. He has not been active on Twitter as of late. I put this video out there and he instantly blocked me. He says, there's no way it could go to $10,000. Actually, no, he didn't instantly block me. What happened was we had a bit of an exchange on Twitter, and I was talking about inflation. I said, if we come to a situation where inflation is so out of control, so crazy, that comparatively cryptocurrencies are going to go higher, well, then we could in fact see higher prices for, certain cryptos, similar to what we are actually seeing today in 2023, where we're seeing Bitcoin go to new all-time highs in these particular countries. And that was enough to get Galgatron to block me. So Galgi, I hope you're watching this. This video is for you, because what I was talking about back in 2019 is actually coming to fruition now. Go figure. I mean, we're not there yet. We're not quite there yet. But, these countries, as an example, does demonstrate what I was talking about way back when. So what else is happening, guys? Something that I've been warning my viewers about for a long, long time now, a controlled demolition, a great reset. And guys, that is central to this thesis. Because if we do see a great reset, a controlled demolition, well, that's going to change the game a tremendous amount. Natalie Brunell recently did a podcast. It was actually from about 6 months ago, and she had Whitney Webb on her podcast. I'm just going to play you guys a little clip right at the end of the podcast. I do suggest you watch this, though. It's a really interesting podcast. Here's Whitney Webb talking about all kinds of things, WEF, CBDCs. She goes a little bit into Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan. But at the end here, she talks about this controlled demolition. Listen to this.
Yeah, so I do think the controlled demolition thing is essentially inevitable, because if they know the system's going to collapse, and we know it's going to collapse at some point, and I'm not.
You think it's
part
going to
of
be
these guys.
like a moment, like a
Well, not necessarily one moment, but I think you'll have one event and then a chain of events after it. Well, you have to keep in mind, too, the 2008 financial crisis, that took several months to play out, right? So if you see Silicon Valley Bank and its collapse as the beginning of this financial crisis, even, this could be playing out over the next few months or the next couple years. It really depends on how they try and drag it out and for what purpose. And, ultimately, a lot of it might come down to things as simple as Federal Reserve policy, whether they continue to, fight inflation, quote unquote, raising interest rates, even though there's a bunch of banks on the brink and all of this stuff. After Silicon Valley Bank, people thought they weren't going to hike, and then they did hike. And you have to keep in mind, too, that there's, Catherine Austin Fitts and some other people have pointed out that BlackRock has had a lot of undue influence over what the Fed does, whether that's the going direct reset plan they made with the Fed in Jackson Hole in late 2019 about what their COVID-19 monetary policy would be before COVID-19 happened. Or their prediction after Silicon Valley Bank that they would hike rates when everyone else said they wouldn't. And then BlackRock turns out to be, they have a lot of influence there. And you have, these big guys, whether it's Jamie Dimon or people like Larry Fink, pushing to totally reimagine, they say, major global financial institutions like the World Bank and the IMF and all this other stuff going on. There's a lot of madness going on here, but they're obviously making plans, right? And so I would argue that, again, it's probably going to be a controlled demolition in the sense that they know it has to collapse at some point, and they want to be able to control that collapse for their explicit benefit, and for the implementation of the policy agendas that they want implemented, for their benefit, not for our benefit, right?
So a lot going on here. Whitney Webb essentially, talking about this whole thing. The powers that be have the power, they have the control in order to bring this system to the ground, the financial system that we have come to know. So, she uses an example of 2008 and how that actually took a few months in order to come crashing down. Let's bring up the S&P 500 here for a second, and let me just bring you guys all the way back to 2008 when we did see this controlled demolition occur. And guys, it takes time. So take a look at this. The top of the market was October 2007, and it wasn't actually until March 2009 until the entire market really did collapse and we started rebuilding, okay, at the beginning of the 2010s. And then we had a decade plus long bull run. And guys, now we are kind of teetering here on the brink. We did see that high back in December of 2021. Fast forward 2 years, and some are predicting that this is going to go way, way, way further down. We're only down about 13.74%. So this controlled demolition going to take a little bit of time. She also mentioned Catherine Austin Fitts in this interview. Renowned financial expert Catherine Austin Fitts warns there is not much time left for the current financial system. Guys, this was from July of 2017, so way before the beer flu even. She contends we have built an infrastructure that doesn't make financial sense or economic sense, and we are going to have to change. What's happening in state and local budgets is the same thing that is happening in healthcare. It's the same thing that's happening in all these different areas, which is that we have engineered government investment to prop up the stock market. Washington, D.C. is basically run for the political campaign contributions generated from capital gains in the stock market. The problem is, to get that rise in the equities market, we've ended up pumping out enormous amounts of government debt and government money that has a negative return for taxpayers, and it's not sustainable. And at the end, the game is up. I've been telling you this for 15 years. We are going to have a slow burn. I am telling you that it's over, and we are now into a controlled demolition. So she's been warning about this for years. It all makes sense too, right? Government debt. Think about this. 2017, what the government debt was. We fast forward to today, guys, and we are over $33.6 trillion in debt. So, it's a slow burn, and, the beer flu, again, one of those mechanisms trying to speed things up, but we have not crashed yet. Unfortunately, though, for some countries like Argentina, like Turkey, like Nigeria, inflation has hit them harder than it has in the United States, and there's a multitude of reasons for that. Even if you just look up how much inflation happened in Argentina, inflation hit 102.5% in February, okay? So this is from 2023. The country statistics agency said, meaning the price for many consumer goods has more than doubled since 2022. Argentina has been in economic difficulty for years, and many people now live in poverty. So even just looking at Argentina inflation rates from 2004 to 2028, okay? So projecting outward. If we look at 2023, guys, it's been the highest rate so far, 98.59% in 2023 alone. So that is Argentina. If we look at Turkey here, you can see that inflation was at its highest back in October of 2022, and it has come down a little bit. But as you guys can see here, it's going back up again. So in June 2023, it was sitting at 38%, and by August 23, it was back up to 59%. At the height, it was anywhere between 84-85% in about a year ago, October, November 2022. Nigeria has actually fared the best here. I have some statistics up here for Nigeria, only 26.7%. But guys, that is still a lot when you compare it to the United States current U.S. inflation rates. And, in the Western world, we really have not seen the inflation rates as crazy. Even the highest rate for U.S. inflation, 7%, okay? 2021, we saw 7%. And so this is why when you compare Bitcoin to the US dollar, for example, we have not reached these all-time highs because the dollar has not inflated as much as countries like Nigeria, Turkey, and Argentina, respectively. So this is why we're seeing these types of prices on these charts. But that begs the question, Are we safe? Who thinks we're safe? Who actually here thinks we're safe from seeing this kind of thing in the United States, in Canada, in Europe? Do you really think we're safe? I mean, according to Whitney Webb, this controlled demolition is a slow burn, and these guys have every incentive to bring the financial system down. You know, when I talk about bringing down the financial system, I don't talk about this lightly. I know maybe my voice is, positive and charismatic when I do the show, but to be honest, this is pretty scary stuff if we actually look into it and delve deeper into where our money supply is going. And again, this is why I don't personally keep a high balance of fiat currency in my bank accounts. I'm diversified into, many different investments, including precious metals and crypto, because of this, for fear that, the inflation is going to get so crazy. Even if we just look at Bitcoin to, here's the Bitcoin chart to the, the Argentinian peso, okay? Just take a look at this for a second, okay? On this particular exchange, we only have information, we only have data from June 21st, 2023 till present day. But even from June 21st till present day, if I take a look at the open here and bring it up, let me bring that price up here to, why is that not working? Price up, not working. Okay, after a quick refresh, does this work now? Okay, bring this price tool up. From the bottom here, we can see, guys, just from June 21st, 2023 up till today's price, we have seen a 128.4% increase. Now, if we compare that to the Bitcoin USD chart, June 2023, June 21st, 2023 to be exact, I'm going to show you here directly on the chart why inflation is such a big deal and why it could in fact affect us too. So I'm going to take that same day here, June 21st, 2023, and bring you guys up to what the current price is. We're only seeing a 20.05% increase, so about 20% in that same period. 128% or 20%. Okay, you guys catching on? Here's the Turkish lira chart, Bitcoin to the TRY. And I'm going to take it from, let's take it from the beginning of the year, January 1st, 2023 till today, and that's up 144%. Let's bring up the Bitcoin chart from January 1st. Let's get rid of some of that. January 1st till today. So let's bring it from here up till today, and we're seeing a 104% increase. So not as dramatic, but you guys can see the prices, because of inflation, have rised even more for these particular currencies. And guys, this is why we're seeing Bitcoin experience higher prices in these particular countries. So for example, Turkey's inflation rate hit a peak of 85.5% in October, but has fallen to 39.6% in May. So it has come back down, but we did see that peak from that chart over here. 85% roughly. And guys, these are some countries that I'm talking about just because I had these graphs here from Miles. But even if you look at countries like Zimbabwe, inflation rate from 1987 to 2028 compared, you guys can see just in the last 5 years, 2018, it was up 10%, 2019, 255%. Then we had the beer flu year, 2020, up 557%, and then 2021 up 98%. And guys, these are year over year compounding inflation, basically decimating the Zimbabwe dollar. So what could this mean for prices of our currency? If we look at the US dollar, I'm just going to assume we can all say, we denominate XRP, we denominate Bitcoin in US dollar. A lot of us, depending on where you live, it might be a little different, but I'm going to talk about the US dollar because I always talk about price in US dollars. So we have countries here like Argentina, Turkey, and Nigeria. And so if we look at Argentina, for example, we're looking at its height, 98% inflation. So I'm just going to put 98% inflation here. And then we're going to look at Turkey. We're going to take a look at that, and we're going to say at its height, 85% inflation. So Turkey is 85% inflation, and Nigeria here at its height, 26.7. We'll call it 27%. We're going to say 27% inflation. Okay. And I guess we should put USA down here too, because we need a comparative for this. So the USA, what was the percentage of inflation in the US? The highest, guys, we saw here back in 2021 was 7%. So USA, we're going to put here 7% inflation. Why this is important, guys, I'm going to do a little bit of math here. Argentina, if we saw 98%, we're going to divide that by 7. That is a factor of about 14x. So I'm just going to put that here, 14x. You guys can see that as just some quick division here. 85 divided by 7. We're dividing it by the U.S. rate of inflation. Okay, and we get 12.1, okay? 12.1, we'll just round it down, 12%. And then Nigeria, 28%. So we're going to take 28 divided by 7, and we got 4. Okay, perfect. So we got about 4%, or 4x rather, 4x here. And so what's the average? I mean, I'm just going to take a rough average just to give you guys some facts and figures to mull over. 14 plus 12 plus 4, okay, that equals 30. So 30 divided by 3, that is a round number, 10x. So if we say the average is 10x, what could that mean, guys, for prices of cryptocurrency? And of course, these numbers are going to fluctuate. So, I mean, depending on the rate of, the controlled demolition that's going to be occurring. And again, we don't know how long this is going to take. It could take months. It could take years. Is it going to happen at the height of the bull run? I mean, we really don't know. These guys want to usher in a new financial system, and we've all seen the evidence to show that, this is coming very soon. The ISO 20022 integration, November 2023. There's evidence to suggest that, liquidity is going to be key for this. So if they coordinate this with the next bull run, meaning the height of 2025, which is when cryptocurrencies are going to be at their high, but also it could be a new financial system being ushered in. And at what phase we're going to see this vis-a-vis a financial great reset or a controlled demolition? I mean, those factors are still so abstract. It's really kind of hard to guess. But all things considered, I mean, if we take a look at the Bitcoin to USD chart, and we're assuming that the average is about 10x. Well, I mean, even if we were to say that, Bitcoin is going to, well, I mean, who knows if it's even going to perform its full Fibonacci, but even let's just take a conservative approach here and estimate that Bitcoin goes to the 2.618 if Bitcoin even goes to $146,000 in this bull run. Okay, think about that for a second. 146,000, all things considered, and that's 2 years down the road. And if you consider inflation at 10x, okay, guys, and I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen that way, but 10x, about 1,000%, actually 9x is 1,000%. But, just to put a price on this, a Bitcoin worth $1.6 million. If, in fact, all things do come to fruition, the powers that be get their way, they collapse the US dollar. What could that mean for XRP? Well, I mean, I think we can say comfortably that we will see all-time high once again. And I'm not even going to make this an XRP price prediction. I'm just going to take the former all-time high. If, let's say, that is even just the highest we get in this bull run, which I personally think we're going to go even higher than that. 10x, another 1,000% here, guys. All things considered, if today's price is $3 and change, that would mean we could see XRP potentially at $36.16. Again, these are not price predictions. I'm just giving you guys the math. Something that could happen. All signs are pointing to the fact that we're in a controlled demolition already. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.